Hello and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. Yes, I'm back. Barry Call has been sent back to the cupboard, and I'm here to cover all matters sporting press Irish Oaks, the Race of Champions, Produce Stakes English Derby. It's a busy one. Have no fear, though. We have the right men to talk about it. We're joined as always by the exiled Dub, Tommy Lyons, from his Yall base, and Declan O'Donoghue is once again joining us here this evening. Declan, we were in Shelburne Park on Saturday night. We saw two wonderful semi-finals of the Sporting Press Irish Oaks. I think it's safe to say it's coming to a boil at just the right time.
It certainly is. There are two great semis, and what a lineup we have for the final. And as ever in these matters, trap draw is massively important.
Yeah, we will have a warm favourite, but nothing cut and dried, Tommy. This is a competition that hasn't been afraid to throw up a few strange results, and well, as a result, we've got some expected finalists, and then some that you wouldn't have expected to make the Oaks final. But all in all, it shapes like a wonderful race.
It definitely does, and I think there's opportunities as well for punters who want to take on the top of the market maybe as well, which is a beauty of any final. Is that you want to be able to do that? Yes, sometimes we want to see just the best dog win and win well and whatever else, but there's been quality in this competition throughout, and I think we have a great final. I don't think there's like you say there's some maybe surprise finalists. I'm not sure that there are too many that aren't. Well, they're all worthy of being in that final, and they're all capable of doing really fast times. I think the slowest amongst them, his best time was 20:28:41. I mean, that'll tell you the standard you're talking about.
Yeah, no, there's plenty of quality there. And while I mean that from the outset wouldn't have expected a couple of them there, they certainly have earned their right. I'm not saying anyone isn't deserving of their position in the final. Let's take a look at the two semi-finals. We can discuss each and every one of them. Droopy's timing, Tommy. I think it's a very well named lady. She has been a master of timing because she has come to her peak form at just the right time. She's improved steadily through the competition. She was clearly coming back from a layoff prior to the Oaks, and with each and every round, she's improved and improved. And again, the other night, her trapping was pretty electric. She does a 2:11, her fastest of the competition, makes every inch of the running. Scooby Duchess runs a huge race. She too is showing perfect signs of timing. She's really coming back to herself at the right time. She flew into the third bend to challenge, had to check on heels, and then probably doesn't find an awful lot up the home straight, but never really did in her career. She does keep going to the line, however, and just behind them in third spot, then we had Quivers Magic, who for the first time really in this year's Oaks failed to get to the front, but I thought ran a remarkable race to only be beaten a length and ahead. Quality lineup, quality contest. It was a hard one to call. Easy Razzle for me was a little bit unlucky. I thought she ran a hell of a race in defeat, and she's definitely going the right way. It's just a shame for her connections that she couldn't quite get to the final because I think she would have been capable of playing a big part. But we've got a very, very fast trio coming through.
I think the race is won with two things. One, obviously, with that break from Droopy timing, she absolutely flashed out. We talked before, and last week maybe we touched on it, and we touched in the past about the sections and not really understanding them, and how at the moment I think we had talked in the past about the 550 sections being a bit confusing. Now we're talking about the 525 ones now being a little bit off again. Droopy's timing just flashed out. 2:11 probably doesn't do it justice, but she won it by that, and also by holding her line really, really well, really determined to hold her line when Scooby Duchess looked a massive danger down around the third and fourth bends. And she had to do it. Scooby Duchess didn't give up all the way. And you're talking about a last year's runner up is pushing Droopy's timing all the way. Quivers Magic ran a remarkable race, maybe tiny bit outpaced at one stage of the race, and then flew home again. You had Easy Razzle who was unlucky, got a quite a hefty bump and shown nice pace into the bend to be in a challenging position, and that kind of set her back a bit. Droopy's nice one, and Burgess Rapid are behind. There's that pure quality in one heat. I think you're right though. Ian, like Droopy's timing for her age is very lightly raced, and she's definitely on the up. She's dangerous in the final, even if the draw isn't exactly well, it's quite tricky. The whole, I think the whole final draw we talk about in a while is wide. It makes the race kind of quite open in my opinion. But I think Droopy's timing is just bubbling up at the right time, as you said. She's definitely a player anyway. She's definitely a player because with that ability to break, if you get a length out of the field in this final next week, could go a long way to getting you home.
Yeah, certainly could. Declan, we'll go to you. Age is but a number, as they say. Droopy's timing is running well. She's doing it right, and I'm sure Paul Cronin is riding the crest of this wave. Absolutely loving life at the moment, I imagine.
Very, very much so. She is coming right at the right time, and she's improving all the time. Yes, she was favourably drawn, but she took full advantage. I would agree about the sections. The last week or two, some of them they seem much quicker than what goes up. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't be too much into them.
It's again,
She,
it seems to be every time this happens, it seems to be that 7, 8, 9 spots like is the difference
exactly,
of what you expected. Like the other night, it looked like a look back in the olden days would have certainly been at 2 seconds. Now in recent
exactly,
times, it was
yeah,
203 or 204,
yes,
but a
yeah.
211 doesn't really sit right.
That's right. And there's one or two others later in the card that was 206, and it was a very, very sharp break. You know what I mean? But anyway, she did right. She got out in front. There was trouble behind. She might have needed a little bit. Burgess had to check at the bend. Easy razzle. But I also thought Scooby Duchess actually wasn't helped. Or Droopy's nice one. You know, that was just going on at the back. Droopy's timing was scraping in front. That's the place to always be in a race, and away she went. You know, Quiver's Magic ran very well, all things considered, and Scooby ran a blinder. Although the trap jaw has really put her out in the stands almost because she wants the inside so bad. You know,
Yeah, she actually she sort of she showed a little bit of experience on the corner where she could have found herself in serious trouble. She just sort of took that half stride for herself, edged in, and emerged like a close enough fourth, but still carrying momentum. And you know how big she is down the back straight. Like she absolutely took off down the back straight, Declan, to take a couple of lengths off really talented bitches, including the leader.
she had. I must say in the early rounds, and I wasn't. You know, she didn't seem to be anything like what she was last season. But the last 2 weeks, she's been brilliant, and she has experience. She was maybe an unlucky second last year in ways in that she was just caught. You know what I mean? I know she is a contender. She's a
Yeah.
class act of the race, apart from the favourite, and she's a lot going for. But the draw could not be worse for her.
I spoke to Jennifer at Kilkenny
Yes.
the night of the Champion Open and race, and she said about Scooby Duchess had come back from England and she'd had season and they'd left her alone. Like I know she had a lot of trials in her card and whatnot, but you actually look at it prior to, the Oaks, she didn't have much on her card and Jennifer said she's 6 weeks away from it. She said, like, we're going to enter in the Oaks and see how she goes, but she's 6 weeks away from being anywhere where we'd be
Yeah.
happy with
Yeah.
her coming to
Yeah.
her best. And
Yeah.
she's certainly ahead of schedule, on what Jennifer was saying. But you can see it. She's improved each night. But again, the draw has really scuppered well, I'm not saying she can't win, but she
Oh, for
certainly needs to
sure.
be
For
she
sure.
needs to be doing everything right. A flying start can solve a lot of problems in grain racing, and she's going to need one. And Quivers Magic is another one. Anything to add there, Tommy?
The issue there with the flying start, you solving that problem, it's fine. But like if you saw on Saturday night and the previous Saturday night, what she did was when a gap, she got a charmed run. I know Declan Sanchez might have been a little bit not entirely favoured by the way things happened, but she got a charmed run out of the second bench. She just had to show immense ability to get by Quivers Magic. But if you watch the previous week, it's almost a carbon copy. She showed terrific pace, ridiculous pace up to the third bend, up along the inside, taking advantage of being in there. Whether she can get across there and be in that position next week or in front, being in front is probably a big ask. Where she's going to get the run, I don't know, but I'd like she's if she's not at her best, she's not very far off it anyway. On,
Yeah,
on, on the
even
basis of the
even if she does get a run into the back straight and she's second or third at the back straight, you look at the fact that it's 6 inside seeds. There's 2 or 3 of them won't be moving off the fence. Like where's she going to get the run to the third bend? Because the other night she had to check her stride because Droopy's timing didn't go up the ground. You'd imagine it would be a similar scenario with the Crafty Shavu or a Quivers Magic, even Bobsley Dream and Glengar Martha if they happen to be in front of her. It goes without saying Droopy's timing, having seen her the other evening. So like she needs luck perhaps at the first bend and the third bend to get involved. We'll talk about that as we get to the
yeah.
final itself. Let's move on to the second semi-final. We can throw superlatives at this lady all we like, Bobsley Dream, but it's just pretty remarkable to watch her racing. I don't care what she gives a start to, she can pick them up. And I think if the dog in front's doing 28.10, she'll do 28.05. And I think the dog in front's doing 28.30. She'll go, yeah, I'll get there and I'll win in 28.25. I think that's the way she is. She is just a remarkable performer. I got a text last night from Damien Lonigan, said, myself and Buckley were talking. We both think that you love Bobsleigh Dream. And I'll tell you, I'll be absolutely, completely unabashed and say, yes, I love Bobsleigh Dream. Tommy Lyons, do you love Bobsleigh Dream?
She's brilliant. Absolute joy to watch is what she is. She always has been. There's a bit of a quirk about her, but I think that's what you like about something. It's never boring with Bobsleigh Dream anyway. And like I just never forget that run in Limerick, and that'll be one that I'll talk about for years. A bit like I do about Serene Rumble in the Grand Prix in Harold's Cross all those years ago. That was a phenomenal run. I mean, some stick in your head. The Spartan Maestro and Ballymac-esque. Another one that on the Night of Stars, I think it was, wasn't it? The 575. Was it 600 actually?
First Night of Stars 600 yards, yeah.
Yeah, 600 jet. It was just a phenomenal race. Some races stick in your head. That run in Limerick will stick in my head forever. She's phenomenally fast. Now I came away from this race giving Crafty Shavu a big shout in the final. I think she got held up like not trouble, no trouble, but just got forced to change her line a couple of times by the fact that she was being led by Boyle Sports Coco and just being kind of brought off the bend and off down the back and brought middle, and then and had to work exceptionally hard. She had run a huge run defeat the previous week when she actually faded back a bit. But we talked positively about that run last week. I think this was another step forward for Crafty Shavu. And I think when we'll talk about the final in a minute, but I think she's a player. Glengar Marta ran a cracker. Boyle Sports Coco. It was funny. Bobsley Dream broke in front and just couldn't hold the two. Unsurprisingly, couldn't hold Crafty Shoe and Boyle Sports Coco early. That's not a big deal because they're that fast. But Boyle Sports Coco, you could say, it might be a little bit unlucky not to be in the final because she missed the kick, and we know she has to pop out in front and get clear. Crafty Shavu showed again, tremendous ability. She is definitely on the up, despite the fact that Bobsley Dream. I mean, getting beaten by Bobsley Dream is no slight on any dog, bitch or dog. It doesn't matter. They're she's one of the best for years. Bobsley Dream.
Yeah, I was getting confused. I didn't hear it myself in the night, and the commentary's not up on the website for some reason. I'm sure it'll be there in the package when they announce it. But I think I was calling Bobsley Dream Boyle Sports Dream the whole way around. I was just trying to cover all bases.
Did you request the commentary was taken down? Yeah.
No, I didn't. I don't think there was any up on the night, which probably aided my sort of embarrassment. It hasn't been mentioned to me since, so I think only people viewing it live sort of made comment. But let's just say Mr. Call was the first one to mention it in a text message. And then Dylan Fitz was soon after. Thanks, lads. Thanks for really pointing it out to me. Bobsleigh Dream, Declan, she is pretty remarkable.
She is. I must thought I did think that 525 in Shelburne just could be a bridge too far for her. You know, she's such a versatile and such a outstanding tracker. I just thought it'd be a bit sharp for her. It could still be in the final, but my goodness, that was brilliant. That was a superb performance because the ones in front are top class and they were not waiting for her. You know what I mean? She really had to track well. She had to bide her time. She went everything was right about it. She is a worthy favourite, and she's probably the best one in the final. I suppose Scooby Doo Jess on her record has to put in that rating as well. But she still has it all to do in the final. The way it's actually set up, but it was an outstanding performance on Saturday, certainly.
Yeah, Crafty Shavu was second. And I tend to agree with Tommy. I came out of the race thinking, wow, you know, this lady is just improving and improving and improving. You know, they only retired, you know, Kikoro there a couple of weeks ago. An absolute, in the same mold as Bobsleigh Dream, massive down the back, flies home, you know, would stay further, has stayed further, classic winner. And then Crafty Shavu, bang. She's all about early speed and she's sharp and she's tricky and she's just a real racer. She's only in October 21. She's improving with each and every run, and we'll get to it in a minute. But she's got a lovely draw in the final, Declan.
She has the ideal draw in the final. She is the best draw in the final, and she's improving all the time. As you say, there's going to be someone at that first bend. You know that Glengar Marta will cut in. And that's going to cause trouble to a few of them, I would think. You know, it could actually work out in Scooby's favour. If there is severe crowding on the inside, she might just go around them.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what gets up along the fence. Crafty Shavu was second, Glengar Martha third. Do you want to add anything to those, Declan?
Well, I mean, again, the great ones went out. Paradise Nikki Bell has been running out of her skin, and as she does every Saturday night at Shelburne. She was a bit unlucky, undisputed. You know, there really is no margin for her in the 525 in Shelburne at the top level. Boyle Sports Coker has been outstanding. She is a great racer. She probably had to lead. Interesting, Bobsleigh Dream led. Now, if she do that again next Saturday, that would be a very interesting scenario indeed. You know. But it looks like the early paces on the inside again this time. But something had to go out. Three very good ones went out, and three very good ones went through.
Yeah, they certainly did. I was speaking to Wayne McCarthy prior to racing on Saturday night, and he was nervous about Undisputed. And yeah, as it was, I'm afraid his fears came true. She didn't quite get the start and found traffic in the opening corner. She probably lost her chance the previous week in the trap draw. You know that's what happens. And again, a missed kick from out there, and you've no chance. We've got a wonderful final to look forward to, gentlemen. In one, Crafty Shavu, two, Quivers Magic, three, Bobsley Dream, four, Droopy's Timing, five, Glengar Martha, and six, Scooby Duchess. Declan, you've already sort of alluded to the fact that Glengar Martha will be edging inwards. Interesting to see what Droopy's Timing does. You know, from one, she's been going up reasonably straight, but sort of edging off a little bit when she can. It'd be interesting to see where she runs from. Trap four, Bobsley Dream. I think the worst thing she could do is pop out like she did the other night, because all of a sudden then she'd be flanked into the opening corner. I think she leaves herself far more open to traffic. Whereas if she sort of half missed the kick, she could slip in lovely behind Crafty Shavu and Quivers Magic, perhaps. And, you know, that could be the key to her success. Quivers Magic is in two. I think we will all agree she probably needs to ping to get around Crafty Shavu. If she doesn't lead Crafty Shavu, I think she's going to struggle. And then the aforementioned Crafty Shavu racing in the red jacket of one. Declan, talk us through it. Give us your selection.
Quivers Magic could lead, certainly. That is one thing. And if she gets around the corner in the front end, she actually stayed much better last week, I thought. So that would be interesting. Bobsley Dream is a worthy favourite. Was outstanding in the semi final. But you know, I honestly I think Crafty should will win it.
Yeah,
to be frank with you, she's improving. She has the draw. She was only beaten a length. You know, the other night she maybe see that yard better this time. I'd say Crafty Shavu from Bobsley Dream and possibly 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, we've seen this before, haven't we, Declan? You get to the final, trap one, the early speedster, young one, going the right play, going the right way. Like I'm bring you back to Susie Sapphire, going further back to like Miss Firecracker, both won from the inside, similar type runners, big early speed, going the right way. You can see it. Certainly, if I was playing in the race, I think it'd be just very much a case of back Crafty Javu, which are savouring Bobsley Dream to cover the stake. I'm struggling to see how anything else wins it. Tommy.
It's funny. I've already backed Crafty Shavu. I got somebody to get something small on it for me already at 9-2, and I'll be backing it again. I can't understand how it's not second favourite. I can't understand that it 9-2 Crafty Shavu and 11-4 Quivers Magic. That confuses me. I thought Declan might be interested in the 8-1 Scooby Duchess because it is Scooby Duchess, and it's he was going to make a case in the sense that maybe Glengar Martin might have an impact on the inside.
She needs more than just that, though, doesn't she? She does need
she
more than
does.
just Glengar
Yes,
Martha.
yeah. Oh, look, I struggle to see her winning it, but the beauty of it is you're getting great value if you want to build that case, you're getting great value. Look, I actually think it's quite a tricky draw for Bobsley Dream because you've got Crafty Shavu and Quivers Magic in 1 and 2, and two good early pacers. I'm inclined to think that Crafty Shavu will at least hold its own going to the bend, and that could be the difference. But they're going to be like they're not too slow bitches. They're not going to be coming back on top of Bobsled Dream very early. They're going to be leading Bobsled Dream a long way. Quivers Magic can tend to go middle down the back. Will come back in again. Droopy's Timing, if that breaks to the best of his ability, she has the capability of getting in the way of Bobsled Dream. You could have a wall of three greyhounds going up around the bends. I'm looking at this a bit like Declan. What he said a few minutes ago about the concern about the 5-2-5 being a bit sharp, Bobsley Dream, and that it could be in the final. I think Declan read it right. That's the way I see it. I'd still like nobody's going to be surprised if Bobsley Dream wins by 6 or 7 lengths and does 27.80. Like it just won't be a surprise to us. But I think there's value there. I can't understand the 9-2 Crafty Shavu. I think that's huge, and I have had some of it, and I'll be trying to get a good bit more of it.
Yeah, I thought she should be clear second in myself. Scooby Duchess, if she was drawn on the inside, Declan, like she would be probably less than half her price. You know, that sort of sums up the nature of the draw.
Yeah. Yeah, but she has massive experience, and in the final that can count for an awful lot. And she's just coming back to herself. She can see the last 2 weeks, the early rounds maybe she didn't knock us out, but the last 2 weeks she's been much like her old self, and she can really motor up that back straight. You know, so she may have no option but to go wide because there'll be nothing moving off the fence for her. So you know, it's strange how things can work out sometimes. It looks the worst possible draw, and yet it could be the winning bit for her.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the times here. Like she's the fastest in the lineup with a 28:10 their card for 525 yards. Now, that's in terms of black and white numbers on the page. I don't think anyone would suggest she's faster at Bobsley Dream. Not too many are, if any. But she's 28:11 around Limerick, while Scooby Duchess is 28:10 in Shelburne Park. And of course, second in last year's Oaks final. The very best of luck to the six finalists. A wonderful Oaks to look forward to. Tommy and Declan, you're both thinking very similarly. Crafty Chivu, Bobsley Dream. It's a case of neither of you would be surprised if Bobsley Dream came storming through and won in 28:10. But certainly from a value play, Crafty Chivu is the one that stands out.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to echo those thoughts. I'll go with Bobsley Dream. I think she'll be very hard to beat because I'm not sure there's anything in training that she couldn't hunt down. But Crafty Chivu could certainly make a bold bid for glory from the inside. Just touch on one or two of the other races at Shelburne Park this Saturday night. Music Glideaway continued to absolutely relish the 575. Rather the longer run to the corner in the 575. Declan, although he was sort of pushed hard the other evening, Ballymac Run firstly came out of the pack and really gave hard chase to the final bend where she sort of flattened out a little bit, and Rancher's Master came home like a train. I texted Carol Ramsbottom yesterday morning and said, I think you may have one for six bends. Rancher's Master in second, galloping clear into the escape. But Music Glideaway is just a dog, loving life at present. The 575 run up is really suiting him. I'm sure they'll have to drop him back down to 550 yards now. They have to start thinking about a Derby campaign, but certainly when he's over this type of trip, he's one to keep in mind.
Well, the Corncool Cullen could be going on agenda for ranchers. Definitely, I agree with you. It's very good. He does want the long run down, and he wants an outside draw. And the Kilgraney dog, they're very similar. They're very similar, And but he did it. Yeah, I honestly think he's going to do something more. Once he was in front, he was going to win whatever way was going to happen. That he just has that bit extra that if he needed, he would have produced it. But no question, second and third both ran very well.
Yeah, they did. Tommy, did you get to see the race?
I did, yeah. I'm a remarkable run by Rancher's Master, to be honest about it. To run Music Glideaway is close. I think maybe Music Glideaway might be in for a couple of weeks off now to just quite a young inexperienced dog there.
The three quick runs over 575 probably took more out of him than it would have done any of the other finalists.
See, I think that was my impression watching the final. Thinking it's still 31 seconds, it's still a huge run. Don't get me wrong, but
I would suggest that the track had been a similar way a couple of weeks ago. It could have been a 30-80.
Yeah, and I think it probably and like it, even though the clock mightn't say it, it still takes the same amount out of the dog to do the 31 seconds as it would have 30-80 2 weeks ago. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if we got a couple of weeks off. Just young dog, three huge runs over the trip, huge runs, and they take a lot of. You've got that long run. You've got three long runs really in three long straights really for that. So I just wouldn't be surprised if we got a bit of a break now and set up then for a tilt at the Derby. Yeah, smashing the dog.
Yeah, it's funny how similar he is to Magical Cuba in a way, Declan. We saw Magical Cuba really excelling when he stepped up the 575 600 run up last year, and of course he's now finalist in the Race of Champions, having won on Friday night. Similar type dog, and you just wouldn't be surprised if he did turn into a top class performer.
The Glideaway one, yeah, absolutely, yeah, oh yeah, and he is young. He's still learning, but he does love that long run up. And to come back to 550 and 525 is it's going to be up against it.
We sort of can't forget there was €10,000 on offer to the winner of the GRI Summer Open 525. Hawkfield Blue, Declan. So much to like about this greyhound, very progressive.
Yes, and the draw for the final seems to have worked in his favour as well. He can do it from in front or behind. He has pace and he's getting better all the time. He'd be a worthy favourite, I would think, on Saturday.
Yeah, certainly from the draw, he expected a favourite, although he wasn't quite as quick as Churchtown Sid in the other heat. Tommy, Churchtown Sid sort of gave his supporters a bit of a worry into the third bend, let Urban View and Salmic Fitz really challenge him to that point before kicking on again to win in 28-30 odd. Like it was a hell of a run.
Yeah, it was a cracking run, and Dennis Fitzgerald is a good operator. We know that, and Mick Crotty has always been a good supporter of Dennis's. Good to see the two what I would call y'all dogs. Not quite y'all, but Capitan Garfio also qualifying, but despite the fact that he had a rare defeat on his card, he's been some dog, hasn't he?
He's so razor sharp, and that was the key to success for Hawkfield Blue. Actually, was containing Capitan Garfio. Yes, Hawkfield Ava gone. She's just electric starter, Hawkfield Ava, but she is vulnerable down the back straight and home. And for Hawkfield Blue to contain Capitan Garfio into the corner, like that's no easy task, Declan.
No, it isn't. They're two excellent greyhounds. And the other Hogfield, you're right. If she breaks like that in the final, it's probably been
And
a front.
any traffic on the inside, she's gone.
Yeah. I mean, every 5 to 5 and 7, there's some confusion behind you at the first bend. So that's 2 or 3 of your rivals already on the back foot. So I wouldn't rule her out either. But the other Hogfield dogs certainly would look to business. Yeah.
It'd be interesting how Churchtown Sid will run from the inside box, but you'd imagine he'll struggle to contain the likes of Hawkfield Blue and Capitan Garfio, who are in 2 and 3, and then on the outside, Hawkfield Ava and Salmic Fitz also has loads of early speed. It's a really competitive final, €10,000 an offer, so you'd expect it to be very competitive, but no, really does look an intriguing affair. Let's move away from Shelburne Park now for the moment. A couple of things I want to mention. There was a big run at Clonmel on Friday night by a dog called Style, a very well-bred son of Trippy Sydney, trained by Michael O'Donoghue, 28.46. That stacks up well compared to the Produce Stakes on Sunday evening, which we will get to in a few moments. Also on Friday night, we had the semi-finals of the Race of Champions. Declan, some of Ireland's very best, performing at their very best. It's turned into a great competition in a relatively short sort of history, and it looks like once again we're going to have a tremendous winner this year.
Absolutely. It was Mulville's first time at the track, and I think that showed a bit, but it was a great run. Magic Cuba, we know, and Balnabola. Yeah, it is some competition, all right. I mean, yeah. These are all Derby dogs that we're talking about here.
Fast greyhounds. Octane Cora ran a big race in the opening heat. Happens to be a half sister too. Bobsley Dream out of Bobsley Jet. And of course, on Saturday night, we'll get to it as well. Her other half brother, Brinkley's Magic, took off at Towcester in the English Derby. But Magical Cuba got up on the line to beat Octane Cora, who ran such a big race in defeat. Magical Cuba, Tommy, it's good to see him back. He's very likely race at the start of this year.
It is, yeah, because oftentimes last year you thought that he was going to take off and really, he has that ability. I was impressed by the battling, he battled actually to win that heat the other night, because I've seen him in the past where he's flying out and long run up suiting him and all this sort of stuff, and he kind of dominating races. But I'm not surprised by it. I think I'm on record. I'm pretty much about how much I admire Pat Guilfoyle as a trainer. I think how good he is at freshening dogs up and getting dogs right after breaks and all that sort of stuff. He's really, really good at it. This was like you'd imagine, wouldn't you, that Magic Cuba can only step forward.
Yeah,
despite the 29.51.
It was the fastest heat win, but as you say, like, he didn't get to dominate. He is a dog that has shown in the past that when he is allowed to dominate, he is pretty special. Teresa's Mendoza ran a big race in third. She's looking more and more like she just wants the fence. There's no question about it. But Octane Cora was the one to take out of the race. Very good second, only beaten ahead. Big run from her. She'll be a big price in the final, but she can certainly get involved. On to the second heat, Balnabola Ed, Declan, not an awful lot needs to be said about him. Looks like he probably wasn't off his bench all too often over the last few weeks after his 600 success, and I would certainly expect him to step up in the 29.73, certainly if he comes away on terms.
Yeah, the clock was a bit misleading. It looked a better performance than what the time told us, but I'm sure he will come on again. And on his game, if he gets his way, there is no better dog in the country. There's no doubt about that. But this he wants to do everything right as well. In this,
yeah, it was a case of Balnabola Ed first, the rest nowhere. Way pro-am, he stumbled at the start a little, or he missed it. So he found a bit of crowding at the start, balked early. He actually ran hard enough to nearly sort of get back into the frame. It wasn't meant to be. Drumbeg 10 run his usual good race in third, but Radical Hero was the one that went through to qualify. Tommy beaten 7.5, but he's a lot of work to do to reverse the form with Balnabola Ed.
Yeah, I don't know if Balnabola Ed is the male of Bobsley Dream, or Bobsley Dream is the female Balnabola. But he got so badly squeezed up out of the traps and all the way to the bend. And yet, if you look at it, if you stop the video at the bend, he's about a length from leading. Like I think it's quite clear. I think it's quite clear from that had he got a normal run to the bend, he would have led around and gone clear maybe, and then it would have been up to Ballinaball Ed to come and catch him. So he was desperately unlucky not to qualify.
He can be a big player going ahead in the likes of the Derby still.
Oh, certainly, absolutely, certainly. I mean, I think if you look at his campaigning and everything, you look at his form, even everything he's been geared up to being right for the return to the Derby, and I think that's what he will be. I mean, Owen McKenna's an expert at that sort of stuff, so he'll have him cherry right for the Derby. But Ballinaball Ed is just, he's a character. He's just brilliant. Though at the moment, he is in phenomenal form, and you know what? There'll be a point in time likelihood that he'll be 7-4 to win the Derby. That's when it gets tricky for him.
Yeah, that's when it gets tricky for me too, I'll tell you. On to the third of the heats. Where were we? Sorry, I have to change my page. The third heat went to Rahamofo Declan. We spoke about this briefly off air. I sort of suggested that she's not as comfortable around the dogs, but it was also very clear that she was lost. She didn't know what she was doing or where she was. For her to win from where she was is testament to just how remarkably fast and strong she is.
Yeah, well, Murphy explained it was her first look at the track, but with all the logistics and what's going on, he didn't get a chance to get it down there beforehand, and she did look lost early on. But it was a very good performance. She's had a tough time in the Oaks. She's barely come back from that, and to come through and win as she did. No, she's very, very good.
Yeah, Ballymac Samuel was second and the other Kobe third. She probably was aided by the fact that the front runners were coming back to her rather than it was a combination of both. She was obviously finishing fast, but the others in front were probably coming back to her.
She still had to do it though, and it seems to be her best time of year as well. She did a brilliant run in the Oaks, like an outstanding, probably the best run we've seen in Shelburne this year. And then it just took something out of it. The next week she just couldn't reproduce it, and it's a very unforgiving at that level. One mistake and you're gone. But she came straight back down to Tralee and put in a performance like that from off the pace. She's an outstanding greyhound. There's no doubt about it.
No question. Tommy, she looked like she was running downhill while her rivals were running uphill on the run in to win by a short head from where she was. I think you said it earlier on. How did she win?
I have no idea how she won. Even like she's 8 lengths behind her bend still, and for her, she tracked inside. She was up the rails when she won. Like, and if she decided to come wide, she'd have probably been beaten. And she's gone a country mile clear into the escape and the whole lot. Everything about the run is right, if you know what I mean, in the sense that she's doing hard running late and she's doing, is right in the sense of her ability, but like at the first bend, she didn't know where she was going. She had a look around it. Then she didn't seem like she was going to get away from the dog, or the dog was in last place. She thought she was stuck there for a while. Next thing, she just took off and tracked like I haven't seen her track. I mean, if she takes a natural improvement from that, like I know it's going to be hard to beat. It's a ridiculous final. It's ridiculous.
Let's talk about the final. Let's talk about the final briefly. Radical Hero, Octane Cora, 3 is Ballymac Samuel, 4 Rahamofo, 5 Balnabola Ed, and 6 is Magical Cuba. I don't think it's up online at present. I just happen to have a screenshot of it. Declan, the eye is naturally drawn to the outside trio of Rahamofo, Balnabola Ed, and Magical Cuba. Radical Hero's well housed in the fence, but he'll need to be doing everything right. Octane Cora ran a big race. She's in 2, but she's flanked by Radical Hero and Ballymac Samuel, both of which are pretty sharp into the opening corner. So, there's plenty of intrigue in it, but I think Balnabola Ed will almost certainly start favourite.
He will, and the way he's running at the moment, deservedly so. But there's no margin for error here at all. I think Magical Cuba actually is very nicely drawn the way that it could unfold. But I think you would have to go for Balnabola to win it. I think, yeah.
Tommy,
you have to go for Balnabola just because he is. He's. I was going to say he's finding a way to win. He's not finding a way to win. He's finding a way to trounce greyhounds at the moment. That's what he's doing. He's in ridiculously good form, and he's one of the best in the country, if not the best in the country. He is one of the best in the country, and even though I'd be fascinated to see, like we've said in the past, that sometimes she's not comfortable up against dogs that are Rahamofo, but like that was a huge run the other night. I'd be fascinated to see, and against the not knowing the track, I'd be fascinated to see how she runs. Really will.
Yeah, that final, of course, will be live on RPG TV on Friday evening. Well worth your while tuning in to see that one. Of course, the cat will be on site with the microphone in hand, interviewing anything that moves. On Sunday evening, the Produce Stakes continued the second round. We'll briefly, quickly go through this, gentlemen. Again, some fine displays. Fastest of the night was Sober Glory. This greyhound, gentlemen, we've spoken about him in the recent past in the Champion 550 at Shelburne Park. He's really going places, Declan. It's hard not to like him. The other night was particularly impressive the way he ran that opening corner, stayed tight to the fence, and just put decent dogs to the, he really put them to the sword down the back straight.
He's a very professional dog for one who you think is still relatively inexperienced, and he's done it at 2 tracks now. Yeah, he's very good. He's very good. Yeah.
If I told you, 2 or 3 months ago that Ryhope Beach would arguably not be the fastest in the litter, you'd just sort of laughed at me. Like, he looked like being the second coming, and ran a remarkable race in Shelburne Park the other night, actually, to finish second. But like, this Sober Glory just seems to be going up to the corner a bit better than him. He seems as good down the back, and he's every bit as strong.
And and there's probably more improvement to come. We have to, and we've seen in the Oaks as well that a lot of them have to get 12, 13, 14 races before they really hit top gear, So yeah, he's very exciting prospect.
Tommy, Carol Ramsbottom can really sort of get excited about this fella, I think.
There's so many points in that race where he shouldn't have won, because going up to the first bend and going around the first bend, you say there's absolutely no room here. There's absolutely no room, and 9 out of 10 greyhounds would take a pull and say, I'll try find my gap later on. Like, I don't know, he was only short of mounting the rails and running around on top of them. Yeah. I mean, I was, and if you actually
there was no gap. There was no gap there.
There was no gap. There was no. I watched it a few times, going, how the hell did he get around? Like, and even if you watch him when he's in front, like, he's the section of the race that impressed me most, apart from the fact that he was able to get through, is if you watch from where a section would be down towards the third bend, down where the 6th bend traps would normally be, from there to the crown of the 3rd and 4th bends. You can just, if you're watching the video, you can see he is running hard, absolutely running hard, finding stride at that stage, having had to work so hard already just to hold his position. But I love the fact that he now, in some way, it's a negative if you think that you're not always going to get trap 1, but he hardly left a hair's breadth between himself and the rails the whole way home. Even when he came off the last bend, he's still hunting as hard as ever. Sometimes we say, oh yeah, they swing wide because they're hunting the hare, the course and the hare so hard. This fella never stopped galloping. He is seriously fast.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with all of those points. Optic Chico was next fastest. I thought it was so impressive in the opening round. To pick up the Swords Fudge dog, like, is pretty remarkable. The other evening, he backed it up. He wins by 5.5 lengths. He's prominent from the start. He's so strong from halfway. In many ways, very similar to Sober Glory, although he's a middle to wide runner. Powerful tracker, having just his 6th career start the other night. That's his 4th win. Robert can really get excited about this fellow. Like, anything he achieves elsewhere, and he may well win a classic down here, but he's just a Shelburne Park written all over him. Tommy.
Yeah, he's going to probably lack a little bit of early pace, but you'd have to love the performance to do the clock he did. Again, halfway to the third bend, he's really quickening up, and actually the dog in front of him, who was a Burgess Supreme, was in front at the time. Burgess Supreme is just kind of in his line, maybe, and he's again, lack of experience. He hasn't decided whether he's going to go inside or outside. Not sure what he's going to do. Effectively, almost runs up behind Burgess Supreme. Still picks up so strongly to win. Like, who can finish the second? Who's a strong dog? 5.5 lengths and doing 28.38. He's another proper prospect. But I mean, I don't know where we stop saying those things, because the talent in the country at the moment is absolutely remarkable.
Yeah, Declan, he's a monstrously fast greyhound. Tommy may be right, just when it comes down to Shelburne Park, that the yard into corner will be an issue, but there's no question he's the engine to compete with the very best.
He's serious pace. He has really serious pace all through the race, and I didn't realize it was only his 6th race, so that's remarkable. Yeah, he's good. This is going to take some winning as usual. This is going to take some winning, this thing,
28.50 on debut, Optic Chico around Enniscorthy. Obviously, he was the 2-5 favourite in was it the semi-finals or the final? Semi-finals of the future champion Michael Fortune Memorial down in Enniscorthy. And, just didn't happen from him that night. It'd be interesting to see how he'd gone in the final. But no, obviously a very, very, very fast greyhound. Tommy, I'll let you speak of the next one. Born and Mick, this is your dog. This is the dog you like, and easy to see why. The other night he didn't find himself in front and had to skip around rivals, and tracked wonderfully into the back straight. And then like he's beaten the likes of Our Mystery, Run Faster, Unreal Bruiser, a splendid fellow. Like, this is a hell of a run.
Yeah, when I watched the heat first, I'd forgotten almost what was in the heat, and sometimes that's not a bad thing to do, because you can kind of form an idea about what's happening, and then look back and go, how good was the form really? Because when I watched it first, I was thinking, okay, this is a good run. I like it. There's a lot to like about it. But what's he beating? And then I looked and went, Our Mystery. Oh my God! If you look at the form with Octane Cora, even below Tralee, and even the run in the previous round here, Run Fast is a really fast dog. It was a proper performance. Now I was a little bit concerned. He kind of moved off a little bit at the first bend. I think ideally he's probably 3 or 4 dog is what he is. Trap 3, trap 4, maybe that's what he is. Like for his only run in Shelburne Park, for the first 75 yards, it looked like he was going to do something special, and everything just went pear-shaped. And I was concerned, was he injured or what was wrong with him? And maybe it was something very small, but he's immensely talented. I'm yes, all his best form is in Clonmel, obviously, but I still think there's a huge amount more to come when he goes to Shelburne Park and actually does things right.
Yeah, it's hard not to be impressed by him. I think the run at Shelburne Park, I would say, looking at it, I would say he hadn't been given a trial there. And I'd say that's all. There was a case of issue. He eased into the opening corner, and so it just looked lost to himself, Declan. Would you forgive him for the one run in Shelburne?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, some of the best dogs we've seen down here is the first or second time in Shelburne. They're completely lost. Sometimes it's the silent hair. It can be anything that can catch them. And they leave that behind them. Others take years, like Magical Mary. Took a while to manage. She mastered every other track in fairness.
Yeah.
But no, he's good. Born and Mick, and I remember Tom talking about it before, and I was looking forward to him in Shelburne. But I just write that off. It's just one of those things. Like the other good dog I talked about that night in Enniscorthy. It's sometimes it just doesn't happen. That's it.
Yeah, you're right. Just sometimes it just doesn't happen. The opening he went to Droopy's Ailsa, she took a flyer, made every inch running 28.70. Clonbrine Treaty balked on the opening corner. Just not quite happening from since the Kirby Memorial success. I've no doubt it will. Jack Tavern Bolt was second in that heat. Commons Rebel beat Belinda's Finn, who missed the kick on this occasion. Turns for the second into the back straight, but just couldn't pick up Commons Rebel. Good victories for Droopy's Ailsa and Commons Rebel. Anything to add there, Tommy?
Just on Clonbrine Treaty, you can see it's all still there. If you watch him from halfway to the third bend, he just takes off and then hesitates again on the third bend, having got a belt at the first turn. He's a dog. I'm just leaving aside for the moment, expecting that by the time we come around to Derby, he'd be a different dog again. That maybe he will be by the end of this competition. Who knows? But I've seen enough in this couple of runs here to think that it's all still there. There's no problem, no real problem. If it is, it's very minor. Good in the second heat to see Common Rebel John Kiley win and Belinda's Finn. The 2 yawl dogs, effectively. Johnny Bryan's a big supporter who owns Belinda's Finn, is a big supporter of yawl track as well. And Commons Rebel had some massive runs in yawl actually earlier in the year. So it's nice to see that sort of form being franked and win the Heath Produce Stakes.
And that about those two, Declan?
No, I think yeah. Belinda's Finn is very good. It's definitely one I like. Going back to the Clonbrine dog, I just think the fact might suit.
Yeah,
I think it's that simple, to be honest with you.
He's funny. Like, he's looking more and more like a wide seed every time you see him. But it seems to get lost around Clonmel. We've seen that with dogs in the past, that they do tend to, for whatever way the makeup of the track is, they do tend to drift around a bit, and he just seems to be losing ground, drifting around. And I think there's far better to come from him. Chasing Trooper won the other heat. Quick Away Always led 28.68. A son of Malachy, a good winner for Shawla Hannaran, and of course Graham Holland, who is very much the man of the moment. Chasing Trooper, Tommy, and that.
Oh, ran very, very well. Good, strong performance. I like this. It's red hot. There isn't a huge amount between all the heats. I haven't actually got a chance to look at the heats for next week, but it's a great renewal. Not unsurprisingly, of course.
Yeah, it's always a great competition, Declan, and some really brilliant greyhounds have come from the Produce Stakes in the years gone by.
Yeah, I think that sober dog is a bit special.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing him in action again at the weekend in the semi-finals. Worth pointing out, 3 semi-finals, gentlemen. Two to qualify. It sorts the men out from the boys. Remember, we had it a couple of years ago, Tommy, in the Laurels, and had a 4-run Laurels, and I think we were left with just the most unbelievable final of all time because of it. I obviously prefer the 3 to qualify, but sometimes it's nice just to throw a bit of a cat amongst the pigeons, Declan.
For sure, yeah. Well, I mean, the 6 best dog. Hopefully, the 6 best dog will come through. That doesn't always happen because that's racing. It just doesn't happen that way. But we're kind of used to the 3 going through. All right, it does add extra sauce to it. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it's sriracha sauce on Sunday in Clonmel. It won't be. It's not a vanilla or chocolate. It's sriracha. It's hot and fiery. Let's go on, gentlemen, because there's something happening across the pond at the moment. The Star Sports TRC English Greyhound Derby continued at Towcester on Saturday night. Ireland had 17 going into the 3rd round. They're left with 10. I think this was the night, Declan, where the home challenge started to come alive. It had been looked all a bit sort of pathetic, really, in the first 2 or 3 rounds from the home team. But all of a sudden, they produced a couple of massive runs. Brinkley's Magic, Romeo Command, Distant Podge, and others. Listen, we don't mind them doing it in the 3rd round. It's when things get serious at the end of the competition, we want the Irish to be prevailing.
I thought Brinkley's was very good. Very, very impressive. And coming right at the right time. I mean, the Swords dog was just brilliant early on. I mean, they were, to me, they were the 2. I mean, I can't watch the clocks out over there at all, to be honest with you.
No, the clock seems to be all over the place. Now, I think there was a warm evening and there was probably heavy watering at times. I know it was a Bowser just before Swords Rex, and it was probably just that bit more sort of wet than it would have been for the 2 afters.
You've always got to go what you see visually, and to me, they were the 2 outstanding performances. They really were. Yeah.
Let's talk about the Irish successes, Tommy. Swords Rex, so professional in the opening heat. I watched it. Did I watch it on the phone in the car just as I landed Shelburne, or did I get in time to watch Shelburne? I think I watched it on the phone in the car, and I walked into Shelburne Park, and nearly the first person he met was Leonard Lyons, and delighted with himself, but on the phone, and I'm surprised with the time, and he was saying the track was very wet, and obviously that was the word that was coming through, but it was his immediate acceleration, Tommy, that was so impressive.
Oh no, the phrase I think I've been using in my reports in the last couple of weeks in the paper, saying that he's doing something that's remarkable. He's making it look really easy. Like I was talking there earlier on about a greyhound, running really hard in the 3rd and 4th bends. He doesn't look like he's doing it. He just doesn't look like he just makes it look effortless. He's doing it at a remarkable pace. He's leaving greyhounds behind in a matter of strides. He's going clear. He's running his own line, and it all looks effortless. It's what he's done so far, and you kind of hope that they can follow through and do it right to the end in this case, because it would be a competition or a whole set of performances that we could look back for the ages, because it's just been absolutely. I can't even get my head around how he's shown such disdain for other greyhounds that are open class greyhounds. He's just leaving them for dead, and it just looks so easy. He has a smooth stride about him. There's nothing kind of strange about diving in left, going right, doing anything silly. He moves off a tiny bit early, but he's doing that because he's at his leisure. He actually can do it because he's making himself the space with his pace. He is absolutely in the form of his life, and I hope he can continue it through, because you love to be looking back at it at some stage down in the years to come and go, wow, that was some display right through the competition.
Yeah, Graham seems to believe that he thrives on racing. Declan, it's hard to disagree with that.
No, he's a fantastic dog, and it's interesting. His 2 best runs in Shelburne were from Trap 1. There's no doubt about that. They were outstanding. They were 2 of the best runs we've seen in Shelburne in recent years. But I actually much prefer him from the middle boxes.
I'd paint the white jacket on him if I could. I really would. I think it's just perfect for him. Yeah.
4 suits him very well. It really does, But he's a fabulous dog. He's really in form. He's probably the best dog in it, but he's still got to keep doing everything right, because it is a derby, and even one slip one night, and as we saw last year, one slip one night and you're gone, but at the moment you couldn't be happier with him, brilliant.
Yeah, Brinkley's Magic won the next seat in 28.79, a half brother to Bobsley Dream, as we said, had a mixed sort of card in Ireland. obviously showed loads of ability. I think he's a 28-12 and a 28-18 trial around Shelburne Park. Doesn't always get to the front, but he really seems to be loving Towcester. Just one thing I noticed on the card yesterday, and it probably took me 3 or 4 goes to actually even spot it myself, because just every time I watch it, you're watching Clonmel for obvious enough reasons, who was beaten 7.5 lengths in second. Brinkley's Magic has an eased 1 on his card in a recent start, be it in the early rounds of the Derby or in one of the Derby trial stakes. And just the other evening, as he got into the corner, he took a slight ease. Now, there was nothing on his inside to punish him. Now, he's drawn further out the next night. That is an issue going forward. Keep that in mind. But what he did from the second men home was just remarkable, Declan. He's just so powerful. Very much like his sister, it seems.
He is. I don't know. I hadn't known he was quite that. We know how well related he is, and he has good trial form. But this time he did it in a serious race, and he was very, very impressive. And he certainly, you couldn't fault him on Saturday. 1 or 2 small things, perhaps I should say, easy in that, but I wouldn't know. It was a very powerful performance, and you've got to be impressed by what your eyes tell you, by what you see. And as I say, I've long since stopped working at the clocks over there. I just can't make anything of it at all.
Yeah, I can't make head nor tail of the clocks the other evening. Tommy Clonmel was second. This wasn't the best we saw from Clonmel, but it's all about progression, and we know exactly how good he is. Didn't get to the front, and Brinkley's Magic is hugely powerful out front, and the clock is there. So I'd forgive him for the run, Clonmel.
Yeah, like he has the ability. And I just never thought that this track would really be 100% for him. But like he had, like you think in the previous rounds he'd be making a fool. He was making it look easy, but like he was within a couple of lengths and he was beaten 7.5. Like that would have to be a concern of to some degree. Like you'd have to wonder where you're going to stand next week. Whatever happens for Clonmel in the rest of this Derby, whether he wins it or he gets knocked out next week, I'm still going to have him on my radar for an Irish Derby. I think the ability is phenomenal. We say about a lot of them, but like it's just there at the moment. We should be really enjoying the racing that's around at the moment. Could even look at the spread of racing over the last 3 or 4 days and the quality at every competition. It's not. Sometimes you think we worried there for a few years when the English Derby was on that it was detracting from the quality of the racing in Ireland because so many dogs were going over and all the competitions were kind of getting left behind a little bit. That's not the case because the strength and depth at the moment won't always be that way, but it is at the moment, so we should be enjoying it. Clonmel is a seriously fast dog, and Brinkley's Magic left him standing. And now, there can be lots of reasons for that, and it might be something and nothing, and Graham will have it sorted for next week and all that sort of stuff. But I have a small little concern going forward with Clonmel about him winning an English Derby, maybe not so much an Irish Derby.
Yeah. Beepers Larry went out of the competition, but Declan, I think it's worth pointing out how well he has run in his 3 or 4 starts over there. It just didn't happen from the other night. The one he never got right was the trapping. And we know he can trap a bit better than that from his Irish form. He's certainly a greyhound I'd be keeping in mind going forward. I'd love to see him coming back now to see how he handles Shelburne Park and 550-yard company. I think he's a very talented greyhound.
Yeah, the 550 could suit all right. Look, again, it's a Derby. One night, it's just not going to happen for them. Look at the 4 heats next Saturday. I mean, there really is. They're all hot contests. You know what I mean? So at this stage, I agree. I think what Graham Holland said at the paper, that you need look from this stage as well as ability. You know, and that's going to be a big factor in this.
Oh, listen, the Derby and luck go hand in hand. On to the next heat, Romeo Command set the fastest run of the entire round, 28.75, away and gone. That's not always going to be the case with him. He did drift off from trap 2. Be interested to see how he runs from a wider draw next week. Boyle Sports Gift was beaten 8.5 and 1 3 parts into third, but yet ran well. He's a bit unlucky not to slip around a close second. Finds plenty of traffic, and for him to even qualify was a bit of an achievement. Anything to add there, gentlemen?
No, this is a fantastic performance by the winner, away and gone, as you said, clear around the opening maidens, had it all his own way, and rightly, I'm a bit like Declan. I don't put much faith in the clocks because I don't really know them well enough or don't understand them well enough. But it's obviously a fabulous run by Romeo Command.
Yes, no question about that. We thought a lot of him over here, gentlemen. He didn't win too many in Ireland, but he always had the ability, Declan.
He did, yeah, and this track seems to suit him, or he's just coming right at the right time, whatever. But it was a very good performance, yes, certainly.
Yeah, I think he's only suffered one defeat in the UK. I think he won his first 10 over there.
Well, there
So
you go. Yeah,
it's
yeah,
pretty remarkable.
sure.
Ballymac Marino, we're talking about clocks, and this is what I'm taking out of this race. He does 29:24, and yet seems to do everything right, Declan. Now, Liam had suggested there was kennel sickness, and didn't look it didn't look to me that Ballymac Marino was suffering, but 29:24 is considerably slower. Like if it had popped up at 28:80, I wouldn't have been surprised. Having seen Ballymac Finn really struggle and just qualifying in third, I'm sure Liam was delighted to get Ballymac Marino through, but the clock would worry him.
It would, but I think the way I had about him going over, we know his ability. He's an incredible dog, But and Tralee and Shelburne, we saw it. The worry I had was his inexperience, but that seems to be that's not an issue now. He's running well, and he's still in there. And if there was sickness, he'd be picking up. He'd be improving as each day goes by. And of course, kennel sickness sometimes affects some more than others.
Yeah.
But they're both running well, and they're both still there, and no one better than Liam to get them as far as he can.
Yeah. Tommy Ballymac Marino, you're the chairman of the fan club, doing everything right. Ignore the clock. It's just another foot perfect display.
Yeah, it really is, because I've had concerns about how well he might cope with a top early pacer. Now, that wasn't the top heat the other night. That particular heat itself wasn't. I think he was more impressive in the previous rounds, but he was good. It did slightly differently to Swords Rex. It does look like he's pushing hard Ballymac Marino. You know what I mean? That there's a bit of work involved in it, as it is for most greyhounds. I think Swords Rex is just in special form at the moment, but Ballymac Marino is open to so much improvement. I mean, if this competition isn't crowning him for a run at the Irish Derby, I don't know what is. I mean, I like, my shortlist is becoming a long list for the Irish Derby, and he's obviously right at the top of it. He has been since it runs in Tralee, but like I would have a slight concern, even though I profess to not know much about the clocks, or maybe not certain about that. I would have a small bit of concern about the run the other night, and maybe what you're saying from Liam Dowling is a bit of a red flag. You need to be careful with it if you're going to be backing him. I mean, Ballymac Marino was already short enough to win the competition. Ballymac Finn was reasonably shortish for the competition as well. Yeah, I'd be looking into next week and just a little bit concerned, and hoping to keep my eyes closed and hoping to qualify through and get another week out of it.
Yeah, and the one thing about the clock is the following heat run by Romeo Hanzo, who Graham Holland has not been shy about sort of expressing his love for. 29:19 off a comfortable trap to line success. So, track seems to be going in waves, slow, fast, and sort of that nearly sort of follows Romeo Hanzo to all the world. Looked like he was going faster, but emerged a near 4-length winner in 29:19. Just the way Graham talks about him, Tommy, you've got to respect him for that reason alone.
Yeah, like I haven't joined that fan club yet. You know what I mean? In terms of, I haven't seen enough that would make me get excited yet. But you'd have to respect him, the fact that Graham Holland has quite a high percentage of the top greyhounds in the country at the moment. If he's talking them up, you got to be listening to him, because it's obviously got the ability. It's doing it at home. It's doing it on the track too, to some degree. Maybe not with the same swagger as some of his kennel mates at the moment, but he's getting the job done. 4:15 section the other night. That's pretty much in keeping with most of them. You had the 4:09 Brinkley's Magic, you had the 4:10 with Swords Rex, but it's kind of in keeping with most of the heats at this stage. It'll just need a little bit more as the competition goes on.
Middle draw could suit him again next week, Declan. He's in trap 3, and he seems to be edging off on the inside, so 3 probably ideal.
Yeah, but you've thrown a Duke in 2,
Yeah.
and probably him and Theo in 6. So that's going to be an interesting.
Yeah, three Graham Holland trained runners. Yeah.
That's just some of the Irish out of me,
Yeah.
Like there is no easy way through now,
Yeah.
So I mean, I've taken Tommy's point. He's got to produce now. Obviously Graham thinks he's a great dog. Sure, he's a great dog, but we haven't seen quite yet what he can do. But now is the time to do it. No,
Didn't quite happen. Didn't quite happen for the Irish in Heat 6. Gaytime Nemo did qualify, but sadly, Undulation, who played such a part in the early rounds, and as I say, who I was starting to warm to, went out in Heat 6. In the end, Distant Podge returned to something like his best form, flashed out, made every inch of running in 28.96. But Gaytime Nemo continues. Tommy, this is obviously the connections are based down your direction.
Yeah, look, it's great to see him qualifying. I think they were all kind of together to some degree in at the bend here, and as I say, in Undulation just didn't get much of a run around the first two ends. Gayson Nemo was a beaten favourite. I wouldn't read much into it. I think it ran fine. It's just going to get a lot tougher.
Yeah, it's going to get tougher. Declan, good run by Gaytime Nemo. He's only beaten 3 lengths back into third, but again, he's trucking along. I thought he ran so well in defeat the previous week. Probably not as well the other evening, although the clock is better, but he's still there, and he's very capable of a big run. He's been in one the last 2 nights. Just wonders he's out in 5 the next night. He's going to need to be trapping, but it'd be a brash man to ignore his claims.
It would, but again, the Irish talk's really up now. He's against Ballymac Marino's in there. The Jackson. I mean, he's a professional dog. He keeps doing it. He keeps doing it, and he keeps qualifying. And he's won a few. He should be very pleased with him so far, certainly. Yeah.
Yeah. On to Heat 7, where there was an Irish success, 1-2. Burj Khalifa winning for Brendan Matthews, and Jack Tavern Bella was second for Graham Holland and the Pillar Syndicate. Here, Burj Khalifa was quoted 20-1 during the week. You could sense from the interviews prior to racing that that Damien and Plunkett Matthews both felt that was probably an insult to the dog. He's returned 8-1. I have no doubt the boys had a little nibble at that. And just given the fact that there was no real early speed in the race outside of Sign It Goofy, he always looked like that they could turn close enough to the pace. And once turning close behind Sign It Goofy, we know how big he is, but how powerful his stride is. He just took off down the back straight into the third bend, and he actually emerged one of the most sort of facile winners of the entire evening. And why didn't we all take a bit of the 20-1, Declan?
I didn't realise that he was that price, but it probably was his best performance so far. And yeah, he was very good. And he's a bit of a powerful dog. I didn't know an awful lot about him now, but he certainly looked very good on Saturday. That's for sure. And certainly he was very good for a 20-1 shot. That's certain.
He's come a long way, Declan, since we were trying to steal a bit of value in what was it, an A2 at Shelburne Park on January 28th. Honest to God, he was about 11-10 at the off, and you could see people jumping into the tote trying to steal the last bit of value. He's returned 4-7 that night officially, and he wins 13 lengths. It's a long time since then.
There's some great dogs who run in A2s in Shelburne and the years. However.
That was his last victory, actually, that A2 prior to Saturday night, but great to see him winning. Yeah. He's more like a racehorse than a dog, Tommy, but he can run.
He can run all right. It was impressive, actually, from halfway, and I think the speed with which he opened up such a big gap in the field from the crown of the third and fourth bends down into the straight was impressive. Like Jack Tavern Bella missed the kick, had to wait for gaps, and when he came, in fairness, ran through quite hard to be beaten 5 lengths. It wasn't a bad run, actually, by Jack Tavern Bella.
No, it was a hell of a run. And she's one of only 2 bitches left.
She's just the type that could sneak into a final when we're concentrating on look at all these early paces, what's going to happen at the first bend. And you're thinking, geez, Jack Tavern Bella could be in behind him, just find her way into the final. That's the type she is.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Like, I'm sure that's what the connections want. But I'd say they were entered with a view that when she goes out, we'll run her in the 6-bend competition that coincides with the latter ends of the Derby. So she might rule herself out of that competition. Big run by Jack Tavern Bella. The boys live every stride of this one, Declan. They really love her.
Well, every year there's at least one entry that I say is wildly optimistic, and they always end up in the final. So I think this one this year. She's a brilliant greyhound, but this is not her trip. But she's doing great, and the ones that keep running on, they do keep qualifying. So great stuff.
They certainly do. Sadly, the one that I wanted to do is what didn't. McNeil, he was in the last heat and he found traffic at just the wrong time. I would have predicted many things, but for McNeil to be done on the corner by Romeo Magico was not one. I would have assumed Magico would have been about 4 lengths in front of him at that point. But Romeo Magico, defending champion, completely missed the kick in the final heat, and as a result, sort of rushed into the corner, found himself tight a room, checks off, hampers McNeil. Ballyhimmock and Leo had gone third at that point. behind Fabulous Azura and Mystical Mario set a searching gallop. He did a 4:01 by some margin, the fastest section of the round, but he really does struggle to get home. Fabulous Azura turned second, took it up late, and went on to score. Ballyhimmock and Leo qualifying in third, but sadly we're after losing our defending champion Romeo Magico and my speculative each way bet McNeil. Declan, sad to see Romeo Magico going out, but listen, anything that he's achieved after his English Derby success was always going to be a bonus.
Of course, he won the English Derby. It was the first time for trainer and owner, and that dog will always remain very, very special to them. And he ain't finished yet, but yeah, I think has any dog won it too? Oh, Patricia's Hope. We're going way back for a dog winning 2 years ago. It just doesn't happen.
Well, no, Irish dogs maybe, but we had Rapid Ranger, we had Westmead Hawk.
Rapid Ranger's good, yeah.
A
but what I'm saying is, it's a big ask. It's a big
huge,
ask. They're expected.
Huge. And especially when you consider Romeo Magico was already a second season dog when he won it. This was a third season dog.
And you have to say how good dogs are now.
Yeah,
because Derby's years ago, you could pick out 5 or 6 dogs between them. Now you're looking at 30 dogs.
More and more increasingly, you get one shot. You get one shot at these things.
Yeah, so it's brilliant. You won it.
Let's hope that's not just the case with Swords Rex. I know he didn't run English Derby last year, but this is his second season. Tommy, sad to see Romeo Magico going out, but he'll be remembered for all the right reasons. And as Declan said, he's certainly not finished. He still has loads of ability, as his victory in the previous round suggested. Didn't happen for McNeil, but Ballyhimmock and Leo qualifies. Billy and John Dunn, they're having some time of it. A son of Ballyhimmock and Jet, and he's through.
And they are actually having they have a not huge numbers of greyhounds, but they have a select bunch of greyhounds, and obviously it's important for them for the Ballyhimmock and Jet to be producing good greyhounds, which he really is at the moment actually.
Well, he only has 2 litters. He only 2 litters in the ground. There's about 10 of them open class, and not just open class, like really talented. It's been reported. It was said to me about 2 weeks ago that he had served 30 bitches in the previous 6 weeks. So absolutely flying. And I would imagine when the first crop was 2 litters. When the first real crop hits the ground, just don't be surprised if this fellow takes off.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's remarkable what he's done with no opportunities really, and hopefully it will happen for them. Fabulous Azura, in fairness, was very, very good. I think Jason Craddock here last week was talking and giving her a real push and expecting plenty of improvement from her, and she did produce a brilliant run. So when her little brother went out, she flew the flag and I think she was very impressive.
We saw just how good she was last year at the Winter Racing Festival. It was 29:30 the other night, but Patrick has not been shy about suggesting this lady can go all the way. Like, she's on August 19th, like she is approaching her 4th birthday, but she's performing at her peak, and she's just coming now. The season dates are lovely. She's probably 17, 18 weeks. She's just perfect, and I would suggest that she'll improve greatly for this run. But as Declan has said a couple of times, you're going to need to be doing things right. It's all about luck from this point in. Go ahead, Declan.
Sorry. Yeah. It is. Look at the 4 heats on Saturday. I mean, to even pick one winner with confidence out of those 4 heats, it's going to take. It's difficult. And a lot of Irish stars running against Irish stars. That's bound to happen. We've so many left in it. But I still say, just going back to Saturday, the first 2, the Swords dog and the Brinkley's dog, they were outstanding. They were, to me, the 2 performances of the round.
Yeah, Swords Rex in Trap 3 on Saturday night against Ballymac Finn. Fabulous Azura's on his outside, Distant Podge, Untold Zloty, and Romeo Top Gun completes the lineup in the red jacket. It's a good test again for Swords Rex, but certainly his current sort of form is very hard to oppose. Jack Tavernella's got a lovely draw on the fence. Ballymac Marino won't be too concerned by Jack Tavernella being on the fence. He's in 2. He's on the right side of his main dangers, and I would suggest Ballymac Marino will start a relatively short price favourite. The other heats, Clona Duke is on the inside of Romeo Hanzo. Ballyhimmock and Leo's out in Trap 6 there. Ireland's 3 on that one. And then the opening heat, Boyle Sports Gift is in Trap 3. Lacks early speed on the inside, Aero Aaron and Savannah Bow on the inside of him. So I would suggest that if Boyle Sports Gift traps on terms, I just think he might get first run on the likes of Romeo Command. Burj Khalifa, lovely draw on the outside, is entitled to run a big race again. Yeah, it's getting interesting, gentlemen. We've got 10 into the quarterfinals. It'd be nice to have 6 or more in the semi-finals. Dare I say it? You don't want to put the mockers on them, but wouldn't it nice be to outnumber them going into the semi-finals, Declan?
Of course, of course. But I just say that the home challenge did pick up last week. In fairness to them, now they did, and some of them will keep improving. You know, Brinkley's was very impressive. I know he hasn't always done that, but you know, the other Romeo dog, Romeo Command, is serious too. You know, but you would still think an Irish winner is the most likely outcome. Hopefully, anyway.
Yeah, touch wood, touch wood. Tommy, no chance of six in the final, I wonder, is there?
No, it's not impossible. I wouldn't be surprised if Romeo Hanzo turned over Clonmel on Saturday night, even though the draw would suggest the opposite. Ballymac has a great draw. I think I can't but think that he's going to get a run into the semi-finals. And Jack Bella as well. He's a super draw for Jack Bella. Actually, it'll be interesting to see what Brinkley's Magic does. Not always as impressive as he was the last day. I just wonder if Ballymac comes out a little bit and puts it up to Merely, just what might happen. As you said, if he did ease, if he was in behind Ballymac or something, what would happen with the rest of the Greyhounds? Would they get in his way after that? So that's a fascinating race, actually. I think I just can't oppose Swords Rex in current form until he gets beaten. He's not. You just have to go with him.
Yeah, no, intriguing action left in the Star Sports TRC English Greyhound Derby. Of course, we have the Oaks final to look forward to on Saturday night. The Sporting Press online edition, Irish Oaks, the very best of luck to all involved. The Race of Champions final is, of course, on Friday night, live on RPGTV, and the Produce Stakes continues at the weekend. Lots and lots and lots of top-class racing to look forward to. We didn't even get to mention the unraced stake down at Cork, Tommy. Some fine displays in that. We'll get to that next week, I'm sure. But that's it from this Monday evening. Again, my thanks to Declan O'Donoghue from the Sporting Press, of course, who will be at Shelburne Park at the weekend, witnessing yet another Oaks final, and it is a tremendous Oaks final. 32 years the Sporting Press have been sponsoring this wonderful bitch classic, and let's hope it's another 32 years. Also to the Exile Dub and all his contributions this evening. Some controversial, some not so controversial, as we always like it to be. Well, that's it from us on Talking Dogs on a Monday. Good evening, good luck, God bless.